On today's DNVR Nuggets podcast, the squad is back together. We're going to be talking about the best big threes in the NBA. Where do the Nuggets rank there? We got a package from Fat Lever. Oh. We don't know what it is. We haven't opened it up. But we will open it up on this very show. Could be bad. Could be something terrible. We're unsure.
Wow.
All that more in today's DNVR Nuggets.
Here we go.
My God, it feels so good.
Yeah. Good energy, guys.
Like an old hat. Is that what we say here?
Yep, something that needs to be washed.
What you say.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
I'm telling you guys live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Farm Range Toyota Stores, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Guys, I feel amazing.
Whoa.
Nice.
All my friends are back. Harrison Witt back in the building.
Oh,
Welcome
happy
back,
to be
Harrison.
back, fellas. Happy
Welcome
back in the state of Colorado, my home.
No.
Love it. Love being back.
Also in the house, Brendan Vogt.
Yeah, not a lot of people know this. Harrison was gone for the birth of his second child. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know.
That was impressive. Quick
That was
turnaround.
really quick, man.
Quick
That's
turnaround.
unbelievable.
My man's working on
Record speed.
my man's working on a dynasty over here.
Project
I was going to say the real Project Dynasty revealed, dude.
And then also back, but kind of old news, D-Line.
Yeah, it's great to be back, guys. I was back yesterday. I'm sorry, everybody.
This is like when your birthday is the day before Christmas.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's like,
dude.
well, we'll just put them
we should
together.
do. I would like Eric is back week. I do
Weekend to weekend.
I do have another story to share.
We
from
need a
Dallas.
back-a-meter.
You do?
I have a lot.
Well, before you hold on to it then. will
I
you?
am. I didn't start telling it.
This is our worst
I
banter.
have another story
have
as a
him back.
great tease.
Yeah, you tee me
It
up.
could
whenever
really
you're
be
ready.
Well, it has to wait because we have a major announcement.
Major?
The DNVR Nuggets challenge you, the listeners, to a 3-on-3 basketball tournament win 1 month from tomorrow. October 5th. There it is, the air horn. 2 p.m. start, Saturday, October 5th. We are going to be down at the Basketball Social House. And us, along with Superstar Dev, of course, carrying the team, challenge you to a 3-on-3 tournament.
So
I guess I'm on the team, as per the graphic.
Oh yeah.
Well, did you not know, Win, that you were our
Well,
shooter?
I'm coming out of retirement, I guess.
Listen, I gave very specific direction on this graphic as to which 3 players were. This was not only an announcement, but it was also it was a draft. You were drafted.
All right, I'll take it.
He was really claimed off of waivers, if we're being honest.
Whatever, dude. Let's just say.
In all sincerity, this should be a phenomenal event. It's a lot of fun. Whether you're playing or not, come down to the Basketball Social House. We did this last year, and everybody that attended it was like, you have to do this again. We have to do it again. And it wasn't even a tournament then. We just did some shooting games.
Live show.
A live show. I'm sure we're going to be doing much the same this year, but with the additional benefit of, have you ever wanted to try to come take an elbow from me as I just post you up?
Or would you rather dunk on Adam in the chat?
Yeah.
Or would
In
you
real
rather do it? Would you rather do it in a way that could be documented and held against him
If
for the rest of his
someone
life?
dunks on Adam with the camera present, I'll give you $100 in cash
I
on the
know,
spot.
dude. Please, Christian Brown, come to this.
Can you imagine?
I'm not paying Christian Brown $100.
I am absolutely.
I
dude.
actually would welcome this. Like, some fans of ours bring in a ringer, or maybe they're a ringer themselves, just so you have not been letting anybody know. But they show up and it's like, hey, friendly little game. What did you say about Michael Porter?
I hope that there's like a confusingly old-looking guy that turns out to be Kyrie Irving. Uncle Drew shows up, or just some of it, whatever. Like,
It should,
PJ Dozier.
it should be a great
dude.
time, man. We love our activities with everybody, so come on out to the Basketball Social House. Put it in your calendars, October 5th. Come have a good time. We'll probably do some other challenges as well. Last year we did the Sombor Shuffle Challenge. That was a good time.
Oh, that was great.
We
Yeah,
had
that was
3-point
super
competition. We'll have a good time.
It's $50 per team. You can register at thednvr.com. There's a tweet out as well.
You can also register as an individual for $15
Free
and get
agent.
assigned free agent. Thank you very much.
Oh, damn.
And of course, you guys should check on Twitter. Check the link. There's all the details on the drink and food specials. Come hang out with us. Come hang out with each other, right? We always talk about this being a community. It doesn't have to just be online. It's so dope when we get to do it in person.
Dude, and not only are you part of the community, you can be at war with that community.
That's the best way to live.
A very finite amount of time, and then slap fives afterwards.
Slap hands.
In honor of our 3-on-3 tournament, we are going to be discussing the best trios of the Jokic era. And this is actually it sounds easy, right? It's actually a little bit harder. So we're going to eventually get to best trios in the NBA, but I just want to establish the best trios of the Jokic era. Okay. And I'll let you go first because I have a feeling yours might be a little different than everyone else's. Who is the best trio of the Jokic era?
It probably includes Jokic and Murray.
Wind, ambitious guess, but yes.
You missed the Jameer Nelson era, didn't you?
You know what's funny, man, is I think the best team I really think is more 4 people than a trio. But if I have to do it.
You do have to.
I am going to say Michael Porter Jr.
Let's go!
Dude, what an
as the
choice.
third member of the trio.
It's clearly Aaron Gordon, but we do appreciate the commitment to the bid.
Yeah, listen, the game has always been about buckets. MPJ's the third leading scorer. Good efficiency.
Hey, phenomenal point here.
Hold on. Are we saying that Jokic and Murray are not getting buckets?
No.
They're 1-2.
Well, they're 1 and 2. Yeah.
But we need
they're 1-2.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I didn't have Porter 1. That was your confusion. I could see how you would have assumed I did. No, Porter 3. Now, I do. Look, the truth is, I understand everything that's coming with the counting arguments. AG is integral to what they do, what they try to do in an organic, healthy way. But you also need a 30 leading scorer, and that's who Porter's been for this group. I'll put him in there.
So I don't think it's absolutely crazy to make this argument.
Strong agree.
Michael Porter's the third guy of the
It's not
trio.
crazy. It's still wrong.
I don't know if it's 100%
you could go and
open and shut case wrong.
You can take a test and you can get an answer wrong and no one will call you crazy.
All right.
That happened to me a lot.
Your teacher won't stand up and call you insane.
I mean, what's the real argument for AG?
That you have the most options on how to score, and you have defense.
He's involved in the offense in a way where Michael Porter is a spacer mostly, and obviously gets a lot of the kickouts and scores a lot of the points, but AG is more involved in the action is the argument, I think. But when you're a spacer, like Klay Thompson's a spacer. He's part of a big three. Like, he's a very good spacer.
Yeah,
but one of the big three was Draymond Green, who was elite at defense, and Klay Thompson was elite at defense at that point.
That's a really good point. It's actually kind of a similar argument. Like, let's say Kevin Durant and Steph are there. So then do you go Draymond or Klay? And it's pretty similar, actually.
I mean, listen, if somebody told me my big three for the Nuggets this year was going to be Jokic, Murray, and Michael Porter Jr., I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. That's a super fun trio. It's like, to me, it's like you just, it's like, there's 1A and there's 1B. And
I think the Nuggets have a big one more than anything, like a superstar more than anything.
Is that Porter?
It's Jokic.
Oh, okay.
I think they have a big 2 second most of anything, and I think they have a big 4 next. And then a big 3 would be maybe even a big 5 and then a big 3. So it almost doesn't make sense to talk about it. Nonetheless, if you picked, you're on MPJ, you think it's like very, very close.
I think it's Gordon, but I think it's worth a conversation. I think it's close.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's exactly.
And I think this year, I think it could shift to Michael Porter.
Great take. I love this. What would that look like?
If Michael Malone switches up his bench stagger for the first time in his career.
So it has more to do with how they play opposite each other than how they play together.
If they just let Michael Porter Jr. loose a little bit more, I think it can be him.
Or if he bulks up and then plays the dunker spot.
You think it's specifically the role that they're playing?
He just becomes Aaron Gordon.
You think it's specifically the role because he's more a defensive player?
Well, he's just like more. There's just like they're more adaptable to anything. It's like if you have a guy that it's just you want to be able to bully from up, out, and up. You want options no matter what the other big three is throwing at you, and you want defense, and you want rebounding and all that stuff. And it's not that Michael Porter Jr. Again, this sounds like I'm negging Michael Porter Jr. I'm just saying, like,
this is what happens anytime you compare anything.
I know,
right, that's the thing. And he sucks. And
like the one thing you have to consider is that there's no way Michael Porter Jr. should be on the Nuggets. No, it's just like that's the best three. If you were playing NBA Jam, you're like, okay, I've got every kind of box, if not ticked, at least like addressed.
If I was playing in a 3-on-3 tournament, like at the Basketball Social House or something, I'd probably take Michael Porter over Aaron Gordon if I was playing
Pickup
3 on
game.
3.
Yeah. Oh, he might take him over Nikola
that's-
Jokic.
You know what I would-
We're doing pickup.
You know who I would take?
3-on-3, he would
Yeah,
not
you know I
miss.
would take Bones Highlights.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, listen, there's a reason Jimmer Fredette went, bro. Like,
There's also a reason they didn't win a single
Well, that's
3-on-3 game in the Olympics.
that is true.
I mean, we should probably talk about that. Our 3-on-3 team was an embarrassment.
Telling you, dude,
What
it's
are we doing
It's
here?
a culture
All right,
and a program.
let me-
We don't have one.
Let me give you this. Jokic, Murray, AG to me was number 1. Jokic, Murray, MPJ is actually number 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it goes like
No
that.
question.
What's
Fair
the third best? If you just think, what's the third best big 3 of the Jokic era?
Could it be Jokic,
Murray.
Murray,
Yeah.
and Fareed?
No, definitely
no,
not.
I'm going to say it. It's 2017, 2018, Gary Harris.
Man, it's a good take.
Or
He
is
was-
that the year? Do I have that
Yeah,
right?
18 was his best
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
They were really good together.
And Gary Harrison, remember the game against Boston where they combined for like 50 something?
Yeah.
Boy, they lost the game, but they were awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Chris
For sure.
Herring wrote an article that Gary Harris might be the next Kawhi Leonard.
God dang it.
And I'm not
Is
even
it
dunking on
fallen?
Chris.
It's
Fallen
not just that.
prophecies.
Yeah.
There were people in Denver who thought Gary Harris was the best player on the Nuggets
Well-
at the start of the 2017 season.
I have another, but I
That
have
was maybe a
another.
bit, but he was cooking that year.
People we know. People we
was cooking.
respect.
I've got another trio to propose.
I'm not naming names.
Jokic, Murray, and Millsap.
We've covered the 4 now. Millsap over Fareed. That was a great big 3. It really was the proto big 3, that arrived us on the doorstep of today. And I think that Millsap was a big part of it in the same way that Aaron Gordon was a big part of it.
Absolutely.
I would probably go Murray, Yoke, Gary Harris. People forget how good Gary Harris was those 2 years.
Yep.
The
Well,
2
it's good-
years,
yeah.
I think 2016, 17, 2017, 18, where he was shooting 40% from 3, elite defender, and had this unreal chemistry with Jokic.
Dude, he had a pocket pass in the pick and roll. He was
coming off the dribble
he would do
handoff?
the,
Dude, he would do
like,
the
and pull
little-
it back
yeah,
like
dude.
dice.
Gary Harris coming off a dribble handoff in 2017.
Right.
Don't
And weren't
forget-
many things better than that.
The strong palm dunks. Remember, he would
Yeah.
put the ball, dribble it, pick it up, and just
Also, don't
Statue
forget,
of Liberty.
Gary Harris literally turned the fortunes of the Denver Nuggets when he came into the bubble run late. And
That's right.
his defense
Defensive
is what
stopper.
and he is the one that forced the turnover on Donovan Mitchell that
Yeah.
ultimately Torrey Craig smoked, whatever. But he got the steal. Like
Yeah.
It was a huge play. He actually shut down Donovan Mitchell. Nobody knows this, but he shut down Donovan Mitchell in the last 7 quarters of that series.
He also did the Spurs series. Murray eventually got his feet underneath him, but they lose that if Malone doesn't eventually let Gary Harris play like loose off the defensively. So, and just honestly, man, he's a guy that there are a few guys like this in Jokic Nuggets history, but core injuries just sapped what was like. Yeah, like you said, those finishes at the rim, they weren't just flashy; they were strong. And eventually, they turned into those floaters that we all see in our nightmares.
Dude,
Well-
there was like a period in the Denver Nuggets history where core injuries were so prevalent that
I know.
one of our talking points was to talk about the medical staff.
So true.
Yeah.
Like that was like a thing that we was like just
Adductor.
part,
Or abductor,
Abductor.
and adductor. I
Yeah.
never knew those were different.
We
I thought I
learned
was
about 'em.
hearing different accents.
insane. That was a rough period in Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
Land.
All right, I want to wrap up this segment here, though, with a little trivia for the fellas. And Harrison, I'll let you go first with the easy one because you've been off for a bit.
Thank you.
Give me the top 3 most assists from Jokic. Who has he thrown them to in his career with the Denver Nuggets?
Well, Murray.
Number 1 with 852 assists between playoffs and regular season. That's number 1.
That's so awesome.
852.
That is awesome,
Man, there's a chance he gets to 1,000 assists to Jamal this year, which would be awesome.
What a cool dynamic.
Cheers to 1,000 more.
1,000 assists to each other would be great.
Please.
All right, number 2.
AG?
Unbelievable pull. Unbelievable pull. That is correct.
Nice.
Aaron Gordon with 544, which is kind of wild
That did not take long.
because they did not play together that long, but the finale oop, it's real.
3, I don't know. I mean, 3 could be Gary Harris. 3 could be Michael Porter Jr. I don't feel like it'd be anybody else. I'll say Michael Porter.
You are correct. It's
Okay.
Michael Porter with 537. Fun fact, only 7 fewer than Aaron Gordon. So
Wow.
almost the exact same number to AG and MPJ.
That
I used
is
to always,
fun.
sometimes I joke that like no one looks for Mike, except here's the thing. One guy does actually. Jokic.
It turns out like more than anyone in the history of the Nuggets.
All right.
Turns out you're just a hater.
Oh, thank God now I got the easy one then.
You got the easy one. Now we're going to do the most minutes with Jokic. The top 3. By the way, rounding it out, Gary Harris at 500, Will Barton at 420 for this. Most minutes with Jokic, D-line. Who has played the most minutes?
Most minutes with Jokic has to be Jamal Murray, right?
12,527 minutes together is number 1. It's 3,000 more minutes than anybody else.
Damn.
Who's number 2?
Number 2 has to be Michael Porter Jr.
He is 5th with 7,250.
This is a harder
I
question.
know
This
a
is
name that's
very
gonna sneak
hard.
in, I think.
Number 2 has to be. Who does it have to be?
It has to be
Probably
somebody.
AG, right?
Yeah, I guess so. He's just
Aaron Gordon is 4th.
What? He hasn't been here that long.
7,690 minutes.
What about Jameer Nelson?
Can I say one?
Well, it's his. He has to be the one here. There's 2 players. Like you have number 2 and number 3. It's actually super fascinating.
I know. I'm like so confused by this.
Take a guess.
I've taken
You give it
several
up?
terrible guesses.
Will Barton is number 2
I knew
most
it.
minutes played with Nikola Jokic
Damn,
at
dude.
9,163. It's actually crazy that up until Murray returned from injury, Barton was the number 1 guy he'd shared the court with. If you remember his rookie season, they were kind of tied to each other, Jokic's rookie season, so they played every step of the way together and more seasons. Number 3,
Oh, now I don't
Gary
know.
Harris
Oh,
at
yeah,
8,199. So Jokic has shared the court with Gary Harris more than Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr.
That is fascinating. Because it does feel like Aaron
It'll
Gordon
swap
has
this
been
year.
here
It'll swap.
forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Gary Harris was here for a long
But
time.
Aaron Gordon, what has it been? 3 full seasons?
Yeah. And Gary
and then
Harris
the one
was
end of the season?
basically 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 5 seasons.
Right.
Yep.
Dang.
But last one.
Jokic and Aaron Gordon are pretty much tied at the hip as
Yeah.
well.
Last
with
one,
their
and we have to
minutes.
go quick. Let's go Jamal Murray assists. Top 3. Can you guess them
I'm
without
gonna go
looking? Oh, you were looking.
I'm not looking.
Not Michael
I haven't
Porter.
looked at that one.
Jokic, number 1. You guessed correctly. 961. Fun fact, Murray has more assists to Jokic than Jokic has to Murray.
Selfish.
Crazy.
Well, it's true. He is the point guard, so there's some
Yeah.
balance there.
So 961 to him. The next I'm going to tell you is 210. He has
Dude.
700 more assists to Jokic than anyone else.
is it Aaron Gordon?
Aaron Gordon is number 5.
Dude,
Number 2 is your boy MPJ, 210.
it is MPJ at 2.
Number 3 is Paul Millsap at 147, which is kind of wild. So there you
Shout
go.
out Paul Millsap.
Aaron Gordon 121 and Will Barton 116. Those are some pretty interesting numbers, man.
Very interesting.
All right,
Very
let's take a
interesting.
break. On the other side, Fat Lever sent us a package. We're going to open it up.
We have no idea what's
We
going to
have
be a
no
bomb.
idea
We
what's
don't
in it.
know. Yeah.
Guys, check out our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing. We love Red Hawk Roofing.
Love
they
them.
are Denver people. They're Colorado through and through. You might run into them here at the bar during a Nuggets game.
On a roof somewhere.
You might just run into them on a roof. You know, you never know. They are Colorado's best estimators and contractors. They use quality materials. They have decades of experience, quick response time. Look, if you have any roofing needs, don't mess around going on Yelp. Don't mess around looking at different companies. Choose Red Hawk Roofing. You will not regret it. They take care of you. They put a lot of care into their work, and they're the best at what they do. Free no obligation roof and property inspections, free in-depth photo reports for all inspections. Still technically hail season. Don't wait. Take care of your roof before a hailstorm hits and damages it, which will cost you a lot more money than it would if you get on it ahead of time. So support Red Hawk Roofing. They support us. Check them out for all of your home and business roofing needs. RedHawkRoofing.com. 720-771-8921. Tell them DNVR sent you, and they will take care of you.
Hell yeah.
My very real girlfriend is officially in Denver. She got in last night. One of the first things she
Isn't
said
it wild that
was,
still none of us have ever
I
seen
know.
her?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This is like
well, I
you're-
mean, like Canadians are.
but I'm saying like now it seems like this web that you've
Has she
woven,
been brought up on every show?
the web you're weaving is
Sorry,
now
but-
becoming more fraught. Like we're gonna
Sorry.
need more and more evidence.
The bit's getting better because I only post pictures of her clearly not in Colorado. Like I'm not even in the pictures. But here's the deal. One of the first things she said when she walked in was, those are terrible sunglasses. Not to worry. I know where to get a new pair. Shady Rays. That's not kidding. She showed a lot of love and affection, but then she said those are terrible sunglasses. And I said, don't worry about it. I know where to get new ones. I know where to get cheap ones I think you'll like the style. And the best part is we don't have to worry because there's a 30-day return policy. No risk when you shop. Even if she hates those too, I'll send her back. Can't send her back though. She's here now forever. Buckle up. Here we go.
Boy.
Just kidding.
Forever.
I'm excited. I love her very much. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR.
We're jumping the shark on this one.
For 35% off polarized sunglasses, try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by
you
over
okay?
300,000 people. I just thought it'd be fun.
Are you guys in a fight?
It says
Are you
make,
okay? Like, is there- yeah.
it says make it personal.
Do you need a place to stay tonight? So, like, I gotta.
It's actually been going great so
It's
far.
the notes they make it uncomfortably personal.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be funny. I thought it'd be funny.
Wow. Kel, will you clip this and send it to Shady Rays? Let them know it's an uncomfortably close ad read.
Yeah.
No,
They said make it.
make sure that they know that when Brendan's real life girlfriend showed up, she gave him affection.
It says right here, use your
A
own
lot of
experience.
affection
wearing
going on
Shady
in this
Rays.
relationship.
I just meant before she said she hates all my stuff. She was like, I love you. It's nice to see you. Anyway, Shady Rays, no risk when I shop. So it's fine.
All right, so this is.
Tommy brought up a great question in the comment, not about Vogt's girlfriend.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Whatever happened to the $2 bill? Do we know?
Yes, we still have it.
We still have the $2
It's still
bill.
in the Kale's desk? Okay. Because we thought it was a curse, but then we won the championship.
Yeah,
So
so.
now it's a reminder.
Holy
we,
cow.
There it is.
We
Kale
tore
is holding it up
we
right now.
tore the corner. We did what was
Yeah.
required of us,
Great
and then
question,
we won
Tommy.
the championship.
Should we
Now it's up
tear another
forever.
corner? Did we just keep tearing corners and winning
No,
championships?
now there's some other thing that we have to.
All right.
It's not. It's no longer the bill.
By the way, we're not far away from our tarot reading episode. It'll be fun.
I'm nervous.
Guys, the other day we got a package in the mail. This is a true story. We got a package in the mail from Fat Lever. And he'd actually written saying that he was going to be sending us a care package, which is awesome. Our friend. We got David Thompson, Alex English, Fat, all the old Nuggets, man. Total homies.
Can't believe Fat Lever's my personal friend.
It's our personal friend. But here's the thing that happened. Nobody told us we had a package. And on it, it had like a reference where Eric thought it was a gag mail package from PHLY.
Yeah.
Oh, like a fake Fat Lever.
No, like they sent us an Embiid shirt.
Yeah, or something. So this literally has been
anthrax.
sitting in our
Yeah.
office for a week. And then the other day, I just happened to see something, and I'm like, is this the package we're waiting for? So anyway, Fat Lever has bestowed upon us something. We're opening
have
it
no
up for
idea
the
what's
first
in
time.
it.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully it's good.
An autographed English and Fat Lever
Wow. That's
poster.
very good.
This has to go on the set, Eric. Take a look at this. Can you get a close-up of this?
That
Oh,
is
yeah, dude.
This is from the
sick.
All-Star game.
Yeah, we'll put that bad boy in a frame.
Thank you,
And
Fat.
it says, thank you to DNVR Nuggets. Hold up on that one. We got to frame that thing and put it up.
Wow.
With a nice little note, thank you, DNVR Nuggets and crew. Love all of your product, Fat.
So really, what he's saying there is thank you to me directly, and you guys are drafting off of it.
That's
Yeah,
totally
that's right.
true.
He likes the shirts.
He also
no idea
says,
about the show.
thank you specifically DNVR Nuggets.
Yeah, DNVR Nuggets. And then, on top of that,
Yo,
the
Oh my
greatest
God.
jersey in the history of jerseys.
that's going up in the
Yo.
bar.
An
That's going up in the
autographed
bar.
Fat Lever.
That's
Look at
definitely
this
going up
thing.
in the bar.
Rainbow skyline, D-line.
Yeah, well, that definitely is going up
Oh
in the bar.
my
We're gonna frame
God.
that bad boy. This
Is
is
this
the-
game? This is game used?
no,
No, I
but
don't
this
think
is
so.
incredible.
I love how Jeff silently lurks in our chat until we mention the past. And then he's like, I've been here the whole time.
This reminds me of Nirvana.
We love the homie.
you're the
Fat
best.
Lever,
Awesome.
thank you so much, man.
Thank
I
you,
tell you,
man.
like, when we, and this actually goes back to Jeff Morton, Andy Feinstein, Nate Timmons, when they founded Denver Stiffs, first of all, George Karl and Denver Stiffs, they had such affection for the past Denver Nuggets. And like them, we recognize that the Nuggets have not been the greatest at tying the past to the present. And
Oh
so
my.
I love that standing on the shoulders of giants, we have been able to connect things like this so that Fat, you know, we've sent him some stuff, some shirts and stuff that, you know, in kind he returns and sends us this. So Fat, we love that we get to be a small part of this.
Dude, and one of the coolest moments in the bar for me was when David Thompson came in.
The coolest.
He is such a mythical figure in Denver Nuggets lore, like one of the greatest Denver Nuggets ever.
He's
an
the Wilt
all-time
Chamberlain.
NBA and basketball figure.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the guy who was standing next to Michael Jordan when he went to the Hall of Fame. Having him in the bar and being able to talk to him about Nuggets history, one of the coolest moments I've had like in the last 7 years in this job.
It's true. And the thing I think is true also is I think it's cool for these guys that we give a shit and we want to people to know who they are, to remind everybody of like the very circuitous path that this franchise took to finally get it done, and how instrumental and important guys like Fat Lever and David Thompson were, and not only establishing what the NBA ultimately became, but also it was not always assured that Denver was going to hold on to their team. And guys like that made it so that the Nuggets could be, one of the most lasting and longest tenured franchises in the NBA, even though it doesn't seem like that.
Yeah.
So it's, I know you're not watching, Fat Lever, but I really appreciate you. You were a towering figure my entire life. And David Thompson, give me a break. You're one of the most towering figures the NBA has ever known. So thank you so much. It means a lot to us.
And
Very
we're
cool.
and we're working
We're
on.
honored.
I'm trying to scheme, fellas, and get some of the legends to come out for a really cool event this year. Every year we try to level up and do something else cool. And for me, next step,
Randy Foy?
Randy Foy's a little bit of a legend. He's on the 3-point top 10 all-time threes list.
We get Nurkic in here?
Well, we'll see if that happens or not.
I just want to hang out with Jameer Nelson. I know it's not the point
Dude,
of what
I
you're
want to
doing.
hang out with Jameer Nelson. We saw him in Vegas for one of the summer league, and I was like 10 feet from him. I was just like looking at him the same way you would look at like if you went to a museum exhibit. And I'm like, man, 10
I'm sure
feet.
he loved that.
Oh, totally.
twinges from his face.
Yeah, I just like point. I'm like,
He's like, wow, what an honor.
The same way when you encounter an infant at the mall
Yeah.
and they like the color of your shirt, they just like point. That was me, but I was like, I'm 10 feet away from a life that I wish I had.
It's like when we were like, oh yeah, that's Dwayne Casey at the.
And we're like, Dwayne Casey's with, I don't know, like Kevin Garnett. That doesn't make sense.
Well, maybe it does. Let's move back into the show here, talk some Nuggets. So, best trios in the NBA. I think the era of big threes is kind of dead. We just talked about the big three for Denver, but what is the best big three currently in the NBA, in your guys' opinion? When I say that, what comes to mind?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that the last two champions, I think, assembled like the best starting fives in the league.
Great take.
So we will do this for the spirit of the segment, but it does, to the point that you were opening up with, it does feel a lot like maybe that's not how it's done so much right now.
And yet, as I prepared the list of candidates here, I actually was like, you know what? There are a lot of teams that maybe aren't technically a big three,
Sure,
but they are a big three. Like the Chris Bosh was part of a big three, kind of. There's a lot of teams that fit that mold. So who comes to mind when you think big three in the NBA?
Phoenix, even though I don't really believe in Bradley Beal that kind of way, but they just sort of traditionally, like they kind of seem to check boxes.
They are a traditional big three.
They're the most big three, I
Yeah.
would say. Well, other team.
I have a
Hold
thought.
on. Were you going to click on that or no?
Well, I mean, when you think of big three, you just think of three stars. And those are three all-star type guys.
Yeah.
Like Bradley Beal, now that he's moved to the West, not an all-star anymore. And in that role, he's not. But, I mean, those are three quote-unquote stars. And that's what the classic big three is built upon.
Okay. I don't know if they're the best, but they definitely are the most big three.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
The one that I think might be the best, you can argue with me, is Philadelphia.
100%. They also have a
Oh, that's
real
right.
big three now.
That's right, yeah.
With way off P and Maxey and Joel Embiid. They actually have three different types of
Yep.
players that could theoretically work together quite
Yeah.
well.
And they're a big three that fits together positionally in a way the Phoenix one doesn't.
A 1-3-5 big three, man. It's
Yeah.
kind of the perfect big three positionally.
Yeah, so I'm actually not very excited to see that come to light. But I don't think it's a slam dunk that it'll work because I don't know how Paul, our guy, is able to work into a more like tertiary role with them. I think it's going to be difficult for him to find out between he and Maxey, who is more the alpha, and I think it should be Maxey.
I think Paul George is going to be very okay slipping into the
He might
third
be
banana role.
He just never has. Like he
Yeah.
was the guy in Indiana.
He did in the Clippers.
sort of, but
He was clearly the third. James Harden was given the ball. He got out of the
Yeah.
way.
well then he left. He didn't like
So
it.
here's the thing about Paul George. He wants to be paid like a number one,
But play
doesn't
like-
actually care what role he is.
It's weird. He wants to be paid like a number one, doesn't want to do the dirty work,
Nope.
but wants to be the number 3 option.
I do, yeah.
He's really towed the line perfectly.
The funny thing is that
between all those things,
I think there's one guy who actually has like a, all right, let's do this mindset, and it's Maxey, but the ball's going to be in Embiid's hands, and then we're going to be talking about Paul George. Them trying to find the chemistry will be interesting, but Eric, you're right. Great call. I think those 3 names pop as a big 3.
So who else now? If we get past that, I have one more team to me that stands out as a true big 3, and it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and J-Dub. And then after that, they have a bunch of good players, Lou Dort, Caruso, but everybody else is role players, Hartenstein. Those 3 are all stars in their role type players.
I have a hard time elevating J-Dub to star status. I think he's an excellent glue guy, but I don't like.
They're young though.
I know, but so is Maxey, and Maxey to me has like made that leap. And J-Dub is. I'm not. Again, this is a type of thing where if you say you don't think, it makes it sound like you think he sucks, which I absolutely do not.
Right.
Sure.
I don't think. I personally don't think he is big. To me, Oklahoma City Thunder work because there's the big 5.
I feel you, but I will say for a young guy, like last year, he went out and put up 19, 4 and 4 on 54 and 42% from the field.
19 is less than you would guess, though.
I mean, it's hard, dude. Like a big 3s are not every big 3 is just 3 20-point per game scorers. Like Bradley Beal certainly isn't.
That's
that
true.
guy.
We put Bradley Beal in that spot, and his numbers.
You
are
know.
Well, just to be clear, I didn't put him.
Well, I think there's one more team that I think has a not a classic big 3, but 3 stars.
Who is it?
The Timberwolves.
Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that's 3 all-star guys.
It's hilarious because you're objectively right, but because it's 2 centers, it's not even a 2-4-5. It's a 2-5-5.
It's a terribly built big 3.
Yeah.
But I think it is a big 3 in the classic sense.
I think you're right.
3 all-star level guys.
So chat suggests Dallas, but I think at that point you even have to start considering like, okay, well then is MPJ in one?
Is it Gafford?
Like,
Lively.
well, Clay, I would
Honestly,
assume.
the funny part is
Lively.
you're right. Clay is the star, but
meant
Lively
Lively.
might be the Aaron Gordon to
I
Clay's
swear to you,
MPJ in
I'm
this
not-
scenario.
I'm not convinced Clay's going to start. I'm really not. I mean, I think he probably will start starting, but
He
I
didn't
think,
want. He wanted to leave the team he is beloved by because he wasn't going to start. So to go to Dallas to
I
also
think he
not
just
start,
wanted to get the most money he could in the twilight of his career. I don't think that I could be wrong. I don't know Klay Thompson, even though I wish I did. He seems like quite a vibesman.
Yeah.
I believe he just needed to get the biggest payout he could at this stage in his career, and I think he recognizes that he's not that guy anymore. And I don't think he should be. Like I would really behoove Dallas to start.
I don't think Dallas has a
Najee
big
Marshall?
3. I don't think Dallas has a big 3. If you go, the only other teams we can throw into this mix, Sacramento now has Fox and Sabonis, but DeRozan is such a weird piece to this that he's clearly the 3rd option now in their dynamic. So he might make a big 3. I mean, bring him in to be something of that
I
nature.
think
And then,
they believe they have a big 3 now.
yeah, and then you have Giannis, Dame, and Middleton, which is,
Yeah.
we just haven't fully seen it healthy and,
And
everything
Middleton's
else.
faded from big 3 status, I think.
You think so?
Just because he's always been hurt these last couple
Yeah,
years.
he's had a lot of health
Putting the mid and
concerns.
Middleton, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's dropped off from big 3.
I think that the Celtics are a lot like this. If I told you it's Tatum, Brown, and we could all come up with a different answer
Yeah,
after that.
that's to me they're more like 2 years ago's Denver at the peak of their powers,
Yep.
where it's just 4 or 5 guys that are just together. They're better than anyone else's 4 or 5, and I think that's why OKC kind of has the best of like 3 worlds right now. And that they have a big 3, they kind of have a big 5, they also have depth. So you can't live that way forever. Eventually, decisions are made payment wise, but they're in a very sweet spot right now.
We got to go very quickly on this one because we got to get to break. But Murray, Jokic, and AG, if we make that our big 3, where does that slot in? Is it better than the Suns' big 3, Philly's big 3, Oklahoma City's? Like,
This is where this is a on paper versus on court argument, because you would look if you were a casual
George.
observer and say the Phoenix Suns have the best big 3 because those are big. Kevin Durant is incredible. He's one of the greatest scorers of all time. Devin Booker is an all-star. He scored 70 points.
Right.
And Bradley Beal was a perennial all-star, but the Denver Nuggets have the chemistry part that is just unimpugnable.
well, interesting you said chemistry because on the other side, there was a scientific formula talking about which teams have the most continuity in the NBA. where did Denver rank? Because they've always been at the top of this list, but this year, where did they rank? We'll find out what the formula tells us on the other side.
Guys, if you have any flooring needs, Empire Today has you covered. You can't see the floor in the studio right now, but it looks beautiful. It's perfect. We got it done a while ago. And of course, we hit up Empire Today to do it. They are the best place to get new flooring. You can't beat Empire Today on their quality, their service, and their speed. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not to overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. They will work with you. You tell them what you want. They'll make the process super easy for you. They have a virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. Just snap a picture of your space, the room you're putting a new floor in, and they're able to virtually tell you and show you how that floor is going to work. They pride themselves on convenient shop-at-home services. They help customers shop for floors when they use their floors, so they can see exactly what their new floors look like in their new homes.
Dude, it's actually,
lighting, decor, etc.
I've done this
decor
now several times with them. It's actually very, very useful. Like it's actually awesome.
Yeah, you can see what it's going to look like before you commit to it.
And it's a very realistic rendering.
Yeah. They also service their own warranties. And if an issue does arise, just give them a call. They service all their warranties themselves. You won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free in-home estimate today with Empire Today. All listeners can get $350 off.
Ooh.
A $350 discount.
That's big.
When they use promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
Best floors in the business. Pretty much the only thing they don't recommend is driving a car on them. Do you like that segue, Eric?
It was so good.
I don't think
even think that's true. I think you probably could.
You
These
probably could.
floors
These floors look like you could drive, especially if it was a Toyota.
I don't know what that means, but I agree.
I don't know, but that's our segue. We found our way here.
Damn, you're good.
Oh, I'm a professional. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR, which is pretty neat because, well, who are we kidding? You guys all know about Toyota. It's a pretty big manufacturer. It's the official vehicle DNVR, so it's of course our favorite manufacturer. Trucks have been a part of Toyota's DNA, of course, for generations. They build durable legends destined for greatness. That sounds perfect for Colorado. Again, if you want to get up to the mountains, they build vehicles that are perfect for that. You need to get a little work done. I know some of you blue-collar Coloradans are out there. Again, they've got a vehicle that's right for you.
Blue Coloradans, dude.
Oh, right. You
I
make
like
it one.
this. I've never heard that before,
Yeah.
dude. I know like a bunch of blue collar millionaires that just like own like porta potty companies.
Right.
They're blue Coloradans. Dude.
There you go. Some people are after more low
probably
and zero emission
Porta-potty.
vehicles.
Porta-potty
Toyota's got them. Basically, no matter what kind of Coloradan you are, Toyota has the right car for you. Do yourself a favor. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial. Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Remember, folks, Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR.
All right, we are back, segment 2. Throw us a like if you're watching this. Don't forget to subscribe. Share our stuff on social media, guys. We are ramping up. We are only a couple weeks away from Media Day. Not that far away. I have a couple...
Do I have to get you guys? Is this like Secretary's Day? Do I have to like get you something?
No, you don't.
It would be nice,
No,
though,
but
if you
that'd be
did.
thoughtful.
What if I got you a game-worn jersey that I wore?
Just take the shirt off your back.
What if I signed
It's
it?
October 5th. October
This is a
6th, he walks in, he's
podcast-worn jersey.
like, Eric, what the heck?
Podcast-worn T-shirt.
You're like, this is way sweatier than the game-worn.
That's horrible. But we do have some irons in the fire for some guests coming up here as we ramp up towards the season. I mean, we've been in the off-season mode for quite a while. We're not far away from the preseason. The preseason is like a 51-degree day in March.
And you're like,
where you're
oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, boys.
No winter jacket.
It's like, is this shorts weather, I think?
I know we're in a non-season currently. This is the one.
This
season
isn't
that's
even
not
the
a-
off-season.
This is just not a.
It's the
season.
deep off-season is
This
what
is
it is.
the
It's the
nether
deep
season.
off-season. Nonetheless, I do have a topic I think is something interesting to at least think about. But first, Kale, can you pull up?
I'll be the judge.
On ESPN, I don't know if you see it on the doc here. On ESPN, I think it's Neil Payne who does analytics for ESPN. Oh, man. Yeah, he has it here. He put a formula together to try to rate which teams have the most continuity.
Nerd.
And the formula weighs not only how many minutes does a player play? Like, are you returning the minutes from last year? But then weighs those minutes by Raptor, which is ESPN's catch-all metric. So it tries to tell you how much a team has changed. The top 5 most continuity are the Rockets, the Magic, the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Lakers. Now, what's hilarious here is the Lakers are the only team that are on this list that's like, yeah, they needed not continuity.
I know.
Yeah,
I think that is the stalest roster.
That's called, the continuity to staleness scale here. But Rockets, interesting, because we don't talk about the Rockets as threats, but they do have continuity. And for a young team, I think it actually matters even more. The Orlando Magic, again, another team I kind of think is ready for a little bit of a leap here. The Celtics won a championship, kept it together. And then the Thunder. When we just talk about records and standings, I do think continuity matters most in the first 2 months of a season. And those 4 teams I look to get out to a good start. And then the Lakers, look, man, I'm never counting the Lakers, whatever. I think they're in a weird spot. But if they were a curveball team where it's like, well, they're the same team last year, so there shouldn't be a learning curve. They do have J.J. Redick, though. But when anything stand out to you about those 5 teams?
Well, I liked your point about the Nuggets and the start they could get off to, and how continuity helps at the beginning of a season, because the beginning of a season is a great time to steal wins.
Yeah.
Some guys ease into the season a little bit. Some teams ease into it.
I've never heard of that.
I don't think a lot of teams come out of the gates playing like the most intense level of defense specifically. And so the beginning of the year is the time to steal wins. And the fact that the Nuggets have a home-heavy start against some good teams. There are some good teams coming into Ball Arena in those first 10 games. But the fact that I think 7 of the first 10 are at home, and the Nuggets are a team with a lot of continuity, that's going to help. Look, I mean, the Nuggets have been a team that's leaned on their continuity in the Jokic era, and it worked. It helped get them a championship. So I definitely think, looking at that and the new CBA, it's going to be a model that a lot of teams try to lean on.
Yeah.
I also look at Boston, who, unlike Denver before getting their title, made some big trades that immediately paid off. However, much like Denver upon winning their title, realized, oh, we can bring our starting 5 that just ran through the league back. We should do that.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for Denver. It might for Boston for a variety of reasons. But I do think it's interesting that it's the second champ in a row to go, oh, we can bring this group back.
Right.
We're doing it.
Well, one note on them, though, this formula that Neil Payne put together does not factor in injuries. And they have continuity, but they also have injuries. So they might actually
Porzingis isn't playing until, what,
This is January, February.
This is a good point.
They might not have as much continuity. The bottom 5 are the Wizards, Raptors, 76ers, Nets, and Hornets. It's the exact opposite. 4 good teams and 1 bad team at the top. And then in the bottom, the least, 4 bad teams and 1 good team.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call the Hornets good, but I see your point.
But the 76ers, having the 3rd least continuity year over year, we're penciling them in as a contender. But it's at least a storyline of, hey, if we just look at the trajectory, Embiid's healthy at the start, gets hurt somewhere in the middle, and then plays but seems to be not fully healthy. Well, now if you say he's healthy at the part where they're just getting to know each other, is he going to get hurt at the point where it's like, okay, we're starting to figure it out? And could continuity actually be a thing that really harms them because they just don't get to play together that much?
Yeah. And I've got to think little continuity is a staple of Daryl Morey.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think that's something he
loves
probably
shaking it
thinks
up.
is important.
Yeah.
Because he's just,
He loves shaking it up.
yeah, I mean, he's throwing together a group of guys and seeing what the championship probability looks like on a spreadsheet. Like, that's how he's building his team.
Neil Payne has said he's got the info. He's like,
Yeah.
Tells
And,
us we're champs. Okay.
I mean, I think Phoenix is using a pretty similar approach. They're tied for 21st here, so they're also in, the bottom 10. They have their big 3. I mean, one of the big 3 on Philly is new, and they're just getting veteran minimum guys to fill out that rest of the roster. So I don't think that's a formula that should be relied on. Like, I don't think that's something that works, but, that's the direction they're going.
I think Philly made a good talent grab. I would also still describe it as a move of relative desperation. It's a team that's like, hey, look, the Embiid's 30. This has not worked out.
Yeah.
We can't just rely on building 5 more years of continuity. We got to go get a star.
Yeah.
So power to them in that choice, but I would still categorize it as a relatively desperate one.
So if you look at Denver, they pop up tied for 11th on this ranking, which is, smack dab in the middle, more or less. Eric, they've been. I don't know if I've ever seen this list before, so I don't know what previous years say. But I would guess almost certainly they've ranked very, very high on this list for a lot of years. And I would not be surprised if 11th is among the lowest in the entire Jokic era. So what do you think of when you see 11th? Does it feel, not that low? Does it feel like a thing?
It just feels like they traded an important piece of their starting five, or they let him go in KCP.
But that's one piece. We've seen that before.
I know, but I mean, that's where a lot of their continuity was coming. The rest is like there's such a churn in the bench units because they have not found the right solution yet.
Right.
Like this is the first I would have expected to see a much higher in the previous years because they had a core that they're building around, and they still do. It's just they had the 5, and now they no longer have the 5. It's like the Nuggets have continuity where it matters, obviously, and hopefully. It really comes down to, I don't know if you guys have heard this before, it comes down to Jamal Murray and his health. Yeah. The Denver Nuggets' fate is squarely tied to Jamal Murray and his Canadian legs. We'll see how far they can take us. But that's really it. Like, that's the continuity that we have, and that's the continuity that is our power. And the rest of it is like, we're going to see, because the bench has like been new almost every year for a while.
Yeah.
The thing to me that stands out the most is, if you forget continuity, the bigger word would almost be more like mystery box. And you can trade one player and have an enormous mystery box. And you can trade 6 players and have a small mystery box. Like, yeah, we trade these players, but it's in one door out the other. Russell Westbrook, to me, just represents a giant mystery box. It's not that you went from Reggie, which is like, oh, you lost Reggie, you lost continuity. It's more that you brought in a guy that we just don't know. He's such a loud player in ways that are high and low that he, to me, represents the big one. And then Strother projected to play a lot more minutes. Saric playing a lot more minutes. There is just more mystery. But go ahead.
Sorry, no. Well, there are questions. But for the longest time, for the most part, it would just be, all right, Denver's going to kind of run it back. Will they get better? Will they get good enough? And now it's, well, how do these new pieces look? Now, even Christian Brett, who's not a new piece, is still a new piece in this conversation. So those are just different questions.
This brings me to the next question, which is, I have a list here of 2025 free agents. This is next year's free agents. Kale has put together, I believe, a nice graphic of these.
I'll be the judge of that. Let me see, Kale.
Did you or did you not? I don't remember.
What category do you want to start with?
Let's start with All-Stars, because there's only 3, and we know how this
that's
goes.
a fine graphic. It's a fine graphic.
I think that's a good graph.
I think it's a pretty good one, man.
Ken,
All right.
good
I
work.
guess everyone's the
Good work, Kale.
LeBron James, you guys, could be a Denver Nugget next year if he so chose.
Hang on. Should we make this a thing?
No.
Should
we just make it like, hey, he could come to Denver and really complete a lot of things? Jimmy Butler and Julius Randle, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I would love if LeBron decided to come to Denver next year, but whatever.
Would
Jimmy,
you?
I mean, I'm
would
just
you?
for the right price, but whatever. But Jimmy Butler, Julius Randle, not exactly my cup of tea. LeBron James is as old as I am. This is not that enticing of a free agency period next year when you look at all-star caliber players. Any notes? Can we move on?
I would take Julius Randle. I like him.
Oh, I hate Julius Randle.
No, I know. But
he'd be playing over like Aaron Gordon and stuff.
He would replace Aaron Gordon in theory, right?
So,
like if you
no
lost
thanks.
Aaron Gordon and you
I'm
replaced
just
him
saying
with
I
Julius
like the
Randle.
player. We
Head
don't have to,
down,
we
no
don't have to
passing.
bury Aaron
Somehow
Gordon
he
as a
takes
part of-
9 threes a game and shoots 12% from him.
Okay, I guess I don't like him.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, I think in a large part, free agents, big time free agents, the all-star level free agents changing teams is a thing we're going to see less and less of going forward.
I think so too. So if we now just go to starter caliber players, let's see how Kale did this graphic here. There's a lot more
let's see
players
this
on
one.
this list.
Hopefully
Eric,
it's better.
what do you think?
Little bit of an eye chart, as we say in the biz. Bit of an eye chart.
Kale, isn't it great to have Eric back? Kale, you're doing great though, man. I actually love it.
An eye chart is so
Jalen
good.
Johnson, Josh Giddey, Kyrie Irving, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray at the moment, Jonathan Kuminga, interesting.
The
Jalen
bucket?
Green, interesting. Alperen Şengün, Fred Van Fleet, Miles Turner, James Harden, Rudy Gobert.
Bring him home.
Brandon Ingram, Alex Caruso, Jalen Suggs, who I love. Honestly, again, like you just said with Stars Wind, I look at this list and I'm like, maybe 4 of these hit free agency.
Yeah, because you're like, why would any of these teams let these guys get away?
Well,
You know?
Brandon Ingram, I think they might let get away.
Right.
Well, they
which-
probably should let him get
Yeah,
away.
and then watch everyone not jump all at once for that.
And Jonathan Kuminga, who knows, could be gettable depending on what happens. Like, I was thinking of this. Obviously, I love Aaron Gordon, and I want him to be back for a variety of reasons. I think he'd be incredible. If you start looking at replacements, Kuminga, to me, I've always compared him to Aaron Gordon. He's not as mature. He's, I don't think, as willing to sacrifice or this or that, but he does represent a lot of the young Aaron Gordon skills.
Yeah. And AG, he's coming into the last full year of his contract. He has a player option for 25, 26, but you got to think he'll decline that.
If we go to the last section here, the bench, these are just bench guys. Clint Capella, Cam Thomas, Terrence Mann, D'Angelo Russell.
Oh,
Oh, can you imagine? The darkest timeline.
Dude,
Jesus.
think about it. He could practice shooting at the gym all the time by himself.
Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, Naz Reid, Trey Murphy, my guy.
Okay.
Kelly Oubre Jr., Tyus Jones, John Collins.
Trey Murphy would be restricted, right?
Restricted, of course,
So
but who
not
knows
really.
what they're doing? Like, they're in a
Fair
Trey
point.
Murphy is the type of guy you want to be positioned to need, and like, hey, we'll take this guy because he's a great player. But it's entirely possible if they go sideways and need to use all of their resources acquiring a second star with Zion. It's possible. They're in a weird spot and they haven't
Man,
had any success.
It's so crazy. I always think back. There's just like moments you revisit that come and go so quickly. Like when the Pelicans won that lottery to draft Zion, and you saw the image of their draft room. They were It was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
It's kind of a curse, man. Drafting Zion, kind of a curse.
Dude, this is the biggest thing about the NBA. You either get a can't miss superstar like a Wembanyama, right, early in the draft or something, where you're like, oh, what?
We have different thoughts on that.
I'm just saying a guy that you should try to build around,
of
whether he
course,
makes
of
it or
course.
not. Or you get a guy who's a bust like Anthony Bennett, which is almost a blessing because it takes 1 year. Emmanuel Mudiay was this guy. We got Mudiay, and it's like, all right, well, he wasn't quite what we thought. Move on to the next. Or you get right in between, and you get Brandon Ingram, and it's like, well, he could be, but
We should probably match
But
this
Zion-
guy.
yeah, we got to give him more runway.
Specifically, Zion,
Zion.
was the phenom that Victor Wembanyama was in just the pre-hype of like, oh my, you don't remember the Duke games and like
He's
it was-
awesome. It's just-
well, I mean,
he
you
was
now
always
but you now have the benefit of hindsight where you can be
No,
like,
even at the time, you were like, he's 300 pounds and has a 45-inch vertical. I'm
But
not
that
so
was-
sure.
well, I don't know, man. That was certainly was not the national perspective.
It's the
I'll-
same, well, it's the same with Wembanyama. You
Like,
look at him,
do
you're like, oh,
take
man.
him, you take them, but
Yeah.
also you go, but
but no
you
one
have
was
to
like,
take
oh,
'em.
they were
Yeah.
like, yes.
Yeah. You didn't think about the pick.
So here's my
Sure.
point. We just went through the list of free agents. Realistically, not even worth spending a lot of time on, in my opinion. There's not a lot of guys in there, and the ones that are there, you're like, yeah, Trey Murphy's not going to hit free agency, and if he does, everyone's going to want him. So there's not a lot there. If we go to the draft picks, walk us through the draft picks that the Nuggets have coming up.
So if you go out to 2031, the Nuggets only have 4 picks. They have their first round pick in 2026 and 2028 and 2030 and 2031. Everything else is going somewhere else.
So they have 4 first-round picks that
Yeah.
really take you beyond the or at least to the very end of the Jokic era. So they could add a little bit here, but again, if you have Jokic on your roster, you probably are not picking in the lottery. So Denver now has a very small war chest of draft picks that are probably going to be, like, at best Christian Brown type players. But again, that will need seasoning, need years. Probably not guys that you should expect to be rotation pieces in the prime of the Jokic era. The free agent list that we just saw does not look big. It makes me think, if we look at trades, free agency, and the draft, the 3 ways to build, Denver has built through the draft over these last few years. Calvin Booth wants his draft pieces. You look at it going forward, I think it's only trades.
I agree.
I actually think Denver's roster
F them
every year
picks.
is going to change, is going to just be traded players they trade for.
And plan A, by the way, is minimal trades because it worked. Because everything worked, right? But that's how you pivot. And honestly, it does lend a little bit of validation, or at least some, like, provide the logical framework for Booth's approach, right? Like, all right, they did get ring-chasing veterans this time in Saric and Russ. How are you going to fill out the rest of this roster now? Late draft picks, probably, right? Or you go, like, those guys are either not going to become free agents, they're going to be out of Denver's price range anyway, or they're just going to be not that good. And so I kind of get that. You just have to get it right. You just have to have gotten the draft picks right.
There is a new era coming to the NBA where there are certain teams that have an laughable amount of draft picks and other teams that have absolutely none. And it's going to be like, I really feel like the teams that have just stocked up on them are going to be able to have their way with the rest of the league as far as, like demanding ridiculous returns, that like being able to charge a lot for those draft picks because teams over-indexed on feeling like it weren't going to be useful. And now I think draft picks are going to be very useful because of the reasons that Wind has outlined. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder, they have a ridiculous amount of draft picks. The Pelicans have a huge amount of draft picks also. I think the Celtics might. I mean, there's going to be a new economy of like haves and have-nots, and it's going to be draft capital.
Well, I don't know if you saw it. There was just a recent interview with Tim Connolly, I think yesterday.
Yep.
Where he pretty much told everybody that they were going to use a similar model to the Nuggets in terms of drafting, their rotation pieces outside of their big three or big four. Like, they got Rob Dillingham. They traded up to get him.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be trying to fill out their roster with their version of Christian Brown and Peyton Watson going forward.
And then to Adam's point, that's probably the way. And then Denver running out of these resources. And so trades will probably be it should they feel they need to make big pivots. So,
and I think the trades, like in our mind, okay, what are they trading? Julian Strother, or Zeke Naji gets traded. And honestly, like those are the most likely, you're talking about fringe pieces or into bench pieces. But I actually think, and this is where, we'll see how the Booth era goes. Like I actually like this team, I think, more than most people, although there's a ton of question marks and I'm a little concerned for it. Mm-hmm. But what if you don't win this year? And you get into a scenario next year where you sign Aaron Gordon and then end up trading him at the deadline. It would feel so big. But to be honest with you, I think it's more likely than not that at some point in the next 2 or 3 seasons, Murray, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, one or all of them get traded. And that's just not territory we've been in. It is more common across the NBA. Paul George has got traded. Like guys get traded. Yeah. But for Denver, I just don't see a lot of other flexibility. And I do think the way forward is going to be you got to win while you can. Because I think at some point it's like, man, they traded Aaron Gordon for 2 guys that really complete the roster. And it's like, yeah, it's the only lever they have left.
Yeah. And look, like the Nuggets have had a very clear strategy over the last couple of years in building this team. And I actually think you got to give them some credit for pivoting a little bit this offseason. Like they did go out and get 2 of the veteran type of players that everybody's been asking for. Like Russell Westbrook, veteran. Dario Saric,
right.
Veteran. They pivoted a little to get those guys because it was clear that Jalen Pickett obviously wasn't going to be ready. It was clear that we can't go into another season with Zeke Naji at backup center. So I think got to give them some credit there. And it's not going to be easy, but they'll have to pivot a little bit again if it doesn't go right this season.
Alrighty. Good conversation, guys. Families back
Are we
together.
already done?
Can I tell my story that
Yeah,
I
it
teased
flies,
at the
doesn't
beginning
it?
of the...
Yeah.
So I got kicked out of the JFK Assassination Museum when I was in Dallas.
hold up.
This is not where I thought this story was going to be.
Incredible
That's a great
opener.
opener.
Yeah, that's a 10 out of 10 opener.
Hold on a second.
Did you try to
What were you doing here?
I'd like to think that I was assassinated out of the museum.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I
not quite what happened.
like Brendan have a very real girlfriend
Yeah.
that I only see through my telephone. So in many ways, I live my life like the movie Her. If you've ever
So
seen
you were
that.
walking around the grassy knoll?
I was walking around in the museum with Christina on my phone, FaceTiming her. So I was showing her what I was looking at. We were talking about it because I literally hang out with my phone.
And he's like, yeah, this is where they shot him.
And well, that obviously, I mean, that's what the museum is. And then I was told you can't FaceTime in here, and I said, why? And they said, because you're showing somebody else the exhibit. I said, she lives in Serbia. And then they didn't care. And
That's probably not what they wanted to hear.
And so I was like, I'm like, okay, fine. So then I
You weren't going to get kicked out until you dropped that part of it.
So
maybe.
then then I was like, fine. And then I sneak
really?
FaceTimed. And then I went up to the 7th floor of the 6th floor museum. And then the same woman came up and said, "Sir, you're still FaceTiming." And I said,
Stealth?
"You know what? I'll leave." And she's like, "The elevator's right there." And I said, "Good job.
you weren't
You did a
kicked
great
out.
job here today." And then I got yeeted out of the museum.
Do you think you're banned?
I think so.
Facial recognition.
I think me and Jack Ruby and there's a few on
Very exclusive list
There's a
of
few
banned
people that are not allowed back at that 6th floor.
I
I'm one of them.
will say it is funny to think rules always crack me up when they serve literally no purpose, because it's not like if they allowed FaceTiming, no one would go to the museum.
I know.
Like, why would I go? I
Yeah,
just have
show
a
it to me
FaceTime
over your phone.
There's
Yeah, you
nothing
just show
worse.
up. You're like, "Oh, I'll be in the parking lot."
It's,
Show me.
it's endearing that Christina likes this, because for me, there's nothing worse than when someone's FaceTiming me and I'm like, if it's more than like 2-3 minutes, then I'm just like, oh, I'm getting sick.
Do they think you were
We're
plotting
walking around the
another
fair.
assassination attempt? Like
I think that they were
with somebody else
Stealing
on
money from the
FaceTime?
what they didn't realize is that this is the only thing keeping me from assassinating myself.
Gets dark. It always gets dark if
How
you
many
go.
places have you guys been banned from anywhere? I have not been banned from anywhere. My mom's been banned from a Panera Bread.
I'm banned from New Orleans.
That should be a great story.
Yeah, Adam's
I think
banned.
I'm banned in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's
I-
probably true.
they don't seem to be
I'm
down
banned
with
from
that
the
deal.
PHNX offices. Shadow ban.
What do we have here? Some super chats?
DJ CJ Seahawk.
We know who
Adam,
this
I
is.
wonder who that is.
Stop. You look 35. Vote for you. Jaylen Brown got hacked on X.
Did he?
He did. I know.
What did he get hacked with?
He probably got in 2 shots.
Probably buy my crypto. Jay says testing for y'all. Welcome back.
I don't
everyone.
think super chats were working for some of the show. So. That's what I
that's
gathered
terrible.
from the chat.
Everybody else, thanks for hanging out with us, man. It was great to be back with the squad, man. We've had a busy 6 weeks, everybody the different ways here, and it's kind of nice to still be busy but together.
To come back to lower ourselves to talking about the Denver Nuggets.
That's right. But shouts to Fat Lever, the legend. We love and appreciate
Dude,
you,
I'm
man.
honored, brother.
We are going to
What
hang this
Thank
thing
you.
up in our bar so that you will live in the bar forever.
Yes, dude, I would
shining
say,
down.
I would say that our level of anything visibility really ebbs and flows with the basketball season. But yes,
Yep.
like when Fat sees us, we're back.
We're back, baby. Everybody hit that like button on the way out. We are back tomorrow. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.